Welcome back, AEIS artist. Today we are going to, or some of you might be ready to add watercolor to your big Georgia O'Keeffe inspired artwork. So you should have a red bucket and you'll have to fill it with water. Make sure that you grab paper towels. They're at the sink, okay? You also are gonna grab a brush, maybe two. The black brushes are really nice and thick, and the yellow ones are a little bit thinner. So there's a variety of ways of working with watercolor. You can work wet in wet, where you get your paper wet and then add wet watercolor, or you can work with it just normal, getting your watercolor wet with your paper dry, okay? Georgia O'Keeffe, as you notice behind me, her artwork has a variety of intensities of color. So just like when we worked with our monochromatic, where we went from light to dark by just using the color itself and different amounts of water, we're going to try to do the same thing. This time though, I'm giving you a watercolor set, because I have a bunch of them, that actually has white in it. So you can try and mix your color in the top part here to get it to a light intensity. And we always start with our lightest color first, because it just helps with keeping our colors pure. So if you're the first class to come into art, your watercolors will be dry and you're going to have to activate them. So I'm going to tilt my camera down. I'm going to bring my watercolors so that you can see them in the picture. To activate your watercolors, you're going to get your brush wet, and I'm going to activate my white. So I'm dipping watercolor into my white, and I'm just massaging that brush so that the water seeps down and activates or creates paint and not just colored water. So because I'm going to be doing sunflowers, I'm going to activate my white, and I think I'm going to activate this lighter orange. So I'm going to rinse my brush, tapping it on the bottom, and then getting some clear water in this color. Okay, I'm going to use the top of my case to add my mixture. So once I activated my color, I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to use a paper towel to make sure that it's clean. So to make sure your brush is clean, especially if you're going to white, is you're just going to run it like that. If you have color on it, tap it down into your water again, and then just run it. All you have to do is run it one time. You don't have to keep doing this. This does not do anything for you. Neither does this. That kind of ruins your brush. So just check it. All right, so I'm going to move everything close to me so that you can kind of see my painting. And I'm going to mix a light color of that color in here. So I'm going to first pick up some white. So I'm mixing my white. I'm going to put a bunch of white here. I'm going to rinse my brush, tapping it down in my water, and now I'm going to pick up some of that light orange. So I'm mixing my color. And now I'm going to start. So I'm going to try and think about where the light is coming from. And I'm going to paint that color wherever I want the light to be. Okay. And that way my color will stay pretty clean. Now I'm running out of color, so I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to add more white. And then I'm going to pick up some more of that yellow. So we're going to have fun mixing colors, playing with darks and lights. Okay. So I'm using, my paper is dry and my brush is wet. Now I'm going to add a little bit more darkness to my petals. Okay. So I'm just going to use the pure color, and I'm just going to add. Wherever the oil pastel is, the color is just going to sit on top. Okay, so now I have a light color, a pure color, and now I want to add a little bit of a dark color, or almost, not, I won't call it a shadow, but I want to make a little bit darker color. And so for my orange, I have a darker orange, so I'm going to pick that up. So this set is nice because it almost has a bunch of different values. So again, you're trying to go with a light, a dark, and a natural color. So we're playing around with the different intensities because Georgia O'Keeffe really liked to play around with the different, where's the light falling, how can we make it look. Now, if your paper gets too wet, just take a break, okay? Get some free draw paper so that you don't get your paper so wet that it drips everywhere, okay? So I'm kind of working on these different petals. Now, once the paper dries, so tomorrow, I can come back in and even add a little darker value to the paint, just like, again, if you were here when we did the monochromatic piece on our small paper, we learned about glazing, where we added a wet color on top of an already dry color to create a glaze. So you can do that also with this piece. So enjoy creating your Georgia O'Keeffe inspired piece using watercolors, trying to create a tint, which is when you add white to a color, a pure color, so just the regular hue, and maybe a darker color. It could be a shade, or it could just be a darker intensity color. So again, I use this nice little yellow orange. So for my darker intensities, I went to a pure orange. So have fun trying to play around with that, mixing in your tray. So when you are done, you're going to use a wipe and pick one wipe out. You can also use a paper towel to clean your tray. So just remove any color that's in there so that the next student has a clean place to mix color. So it's very easy to clean up. It's kind of fun that these are nice big sets so that you can pick different colors, trying to keep your watercolors clean. So if your watercolors get mixed up, you can just use a paper towel and try to clean them. But if you watch what you're doing and making sure your brush is clean, you should keep your colors clean. So I look forward to seeing how everyone enjoys playing with watercolor. I know sometimes it's hard to control, but just have fun with it, okay? So let's see what we all create and enjoy being inspired by Georgia O'Keeffe, and I will have her pictures playing in the background.